It's Song Talk Radio.
Welcome to Song Talk Radio, the show with songwriters talking to other songwriters about the craft of songwriting. We share tips, tools, and techniques, and together we all become better at writing songs. I'm your host, Neil Modi, and with me, my co-host, Phil Emery. How you doing, Phil?
I am doing very good. I'm very excited. We finally have our furnace working, so our energy-saving heat pump will actually be saving energy, which it's never done since for the 2 years it's been installed. So it's kind of fun.
Nice.
Yes.
We all like to save some energy. It's not a bad thing.
You know, you're an adult when you get excited about a furnace.
Exactly. It's one of those adulting things.
Yeah.
All right. And for everyone else, please send your comments and questions to @SongTalk Radio on Facebook or Instagram, or feedback @songtalk.ca for the email, and we'll share your thoughts on the show. And please visit songtalk.ca to see the show post for this episode, to find links to resources we mentioned, and to download lyric and chord sheets to follow along with the songs that we feature. And tonight, we're happy to welcome Canadian jazz artist Alex Bird to talk about his collaboration with jazz pianist Ewan Farncombe. How you doing, Alex?
Good. How are you?
Great. Doing well, and good to have you on the show.
Yeah, thank you for having me on.
Yeah, pleasure to have you. And before we get to Alex's stuff, just a quick comment about our Song Talk meetup that actually took place just a couple of nights ago. This one was our in-person meetup at the Transact Club in downtown Toronto. And our good friend of the show, Paul Gallagher, once again was handling the hosting. He did a great job. We had a rather small turnout. It was only like 8 or 10 people. Only about 6 people shared a song. So we had some really interesting things. One person came up there. She was a classically trained, it seems, soprano singer, and just sang this lyric a cappella. No piano, no guitar. I think she was really quite interesting. But part of the nice thing about having the room at the Transact for a couple of hours, when the meetup only takes like an hour and a bit, is that we get to hang out afterwards and just sort of jam or do whatever. And I ended up helping a very, very beginner songwriter who had written a lyric, can play the guitar to a pretty good extent, but doesn't sing. And she was like, I'm having a real problem taking this lyric and attaching a melody to it. And I'm sitting here going, how the heck do you explain to somebody how to write a melody? How do you do that? And I just ended up sitting at that because I was like, I need to sit at the piano. So I sat at the piano in the Transact, and I need to lean on the piano to figure out, what a melody might look like. And I say, well, you either got to sing it or you got to lean into your guitar and figure out, how does this thing go? And how does, I told her, just take one of your favorite songs, take that melody, flip it upside down, tweak it, apply it to your lyric, and there's your melody. You just got to study it and do it, right? But it's kind of a weird thing trying to put into finite terms how to write a melody. Because the other thing about this person was that she seemed to have the belief that there's a wiki on this, like there's a how to write a melody. There's one way to do it, and this first thing I told her is no. Everyone's got a different way. If you try to find the one solution,
page?
there may very well be. I don't know.
Okay,
there probably is.
Deep in there.
It's way in the back, and it has that little disclaimer at the end. It's like, this content has not been confirmed.
These are not real songs.
These are not real. We don't know if this is right, but anyway.
However,
actually
taking your favorite song and pulling it apart and trying to figure out how the chords and the melody work together is a great way of learning how to write great melodies, because the song that you love, probably great, has gone through lots of polish and lots of editing. Mm-hmm. So you're starting off from a place of success. So it's a good habit to get into.
Yeah, for sure. And that's one of the things I told her too. Is literally just take your favorite songs and start picking them apart and really study them. Yeah. But small steps for everybody. Okay, on to the main attraction. Over the last few years, Alex Bird and Ewan Farncombe have become two of the biggest names on the Canadian jazz scene. With praise from around the globe, this talented team has created timeless and heartfelt originals for a modern audience. They've produced something that is completely unique, 3 original albums in 3 years. Bird and Farncombe's latest album, a duo record, dropped as a surprise of 11 originals entitled Songwriter. Kira Grunenberg at DOWNBEAT Magazine wrote, impassioned messages sung and played from one's heart, but worn on a well-dressed sleeve. Songwriter is an elegant, romantic, and well-executed gem of a record. The album was nominated for Best Vocal Jazz at the 2024 JUNO Awards. Welcome to Song Talk Radio, Alex Bird.
Thank you very much.
Great to have you, and congrats on your JUNO nomination.
Thank you. Yeah, this is our second one for our last 2 albums, and I head to the JUNOs tomorrow to Halifax, so it's nice to catch you before we go.
Nice.
Nice, yeah.
Yeah, because it is this weekend, isn't it?
Yeah, it's this weekend. You don't know if I win or lose yet, so it works for me. It's good.
Well, by the time this podcast goes published, JUNOs will have passed by then.
Yeah.
So if we can predict the future. No, we can't. Cannot. Okay, so yeah, Phil.
Yeah, I was just wondering, like, jazz is such a huge genre. You know, there's so many different kinds of jazz. Are you focusing in on a certain specific kind of time period or a certain specific style of jazz? How are you working with all this?
The thing I should preface first is, like, I'm almost like not anti-songwriter, but I'm like the antithesis to like a regular songwriter. I didn't go to music school. I at the age of 2 was taken to jazz clubs in downtown Toronto, and I grew up at Smoky Jazz bars, getting to see Oscar Peterson and Ray Charles and Tony Bennett and Cleo Lane and Joe Williams and all sorts of crazy names up front in person. And so when I started singing in high school, I guess through a process of jazz osmosis, everything I saw as a kid at those clubs started seeping into me as an individual. So I love the Great American Songbook. I love those old Gershwin classics. I love songwriters like Matt Dennis. People forget that Peggy Lee was a fantastic songwriter. She wrote a lot of her own tunes. Bobby Darin wrote a lot of his own tunes. He spanned musical genres. So while I have my heart set in the Great American Songbook and those old classics, I love Bobby Gentry. You know, I love Bob Dylan. I love Small Faces, great British band. The Beatles, and my range goes all over the place. Today, like Billie Eilish is one of my favorite artists that I listen to and songwriters. She's so cool. And she says that 2 of her favorite songwriters artists are Julie London and Frank Sinatra. Really inspired her. So it's nice to see the modern artists that big going back to the past. So yeah, I'd say my main bag is the Great American Songbook, but I come at it from I've soaked it in since I was a little tiny kid. So yeah, that's kind of where my main bag is, I guess.
Awesome. Okay, well, let's take a listen to your song then. This is called "The Song Is Ours," and
yes.
So the lyrics by you, Alex Bird, and music by Alex Bird and Ewan.
So when I write, I just as a preface, most of the tunes I write, the lyrics and the melody come at the same time, and then I take it to Ewan, and he helps. He calls himself a harmonizer, so he shapes up and adds to it. That's kind of where we are.
There is a place where lovers go, hidden away with all its powers. There you can feel music around, night birds that sing, this song is ours. Can you hear the morning dove? He coos of romance and of love. With each passing hour, this song is ours. a place not far from here, over the hill, past the towers. Follow the path until you can see lovebirds that sing. This song is ours. You won't forget the words. Take it from the hummingbirds. It's in each passing flower. This song is ours. If you could stay here in my arms, hidden away with nature's powers, time would stand still, but love would go on, and I could sing, this song is ours. We won't be back this way. Stay as long as you can stay. Just like those fading stars, this song is ours.
Nice.
Thank you very much. Yeah, thank you.
I was saying before how I wanted to have a glass of scotch before this, because it sounds like the kind of song you're supposed to have. So, a couple of things. The verse starts off with a classic American songbook A/B call and response melody.
Mhm.
Da 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 da
Yeah.
da da da.
Oh, I love
What's
that. Yeah.
really interesting is your last line doesn't resolve the way you think it's going to.
No.
It's a like you was it's set up, and it's great. It makes it sound kind of modern without it being kind of clashy, you know?
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm tapping into. Not when I look back on this stuff, I can see that. But when I wrote that tune, I didn't anticipate to do that. It's just kind of what I don't know, tapped into, I guess. But yeah, no, it's finding a blend between the past and the present and making it hopefully last to tomorrow. But yeah.
Another thing is the word "ours" is a tough word to sing. And you do it well because
Thank you very much.
Those words like arms and hours. I had a song called "These Two Arms," and arms is a really weird word if you start saying it a lot. You're going arm. It does weird stuff in your mouth, you know.
You start saying like hours, and then I started thinking about the flowers and you know the image of the towers and just trying to. I like to say that first and foremost, I'm a storyteller. I just happen to sing, so I wanted to, you know, again, this is a storytelling song, and the title is, you know, Ewan and I wrote this. This song is ours. It was meant to be a little bit of a play on that too, but yeah, it's again, this song opens up Songwriter because we thought it was the best representation of what we've been able to build together as songwriters together, is this tune.
Well, it's nice to build in a copyright claim in the song as well, because the song is yours.
Totally.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
You sure the song is yours? Yeah, the song is ours. Come on.
The song is ours. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
Exactly.
But if anyone covers it, it has to be, the song is theirs. So that's a
Yeah,
challenge.
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, I do really love that it's got structure and yet it doesn't, right? Like there's like it's verse on the lyric sheet, which is available on the website, everybody, song.ca.
Yes, yeah, check it out.
Be sure to download it so you can follow along in the discussion and everything. You call it bridge, which is where the piano goes all really, really melodic and everything and busy and stuff. And but it's interesting that my mind is always in looking at a song, like how does it compare to your typical pop song?
Yeah, of course,
right.
Yeah.
So it's like verse chorus, except the chorus doesn't repeat verbatim. It's got different lyrics.
Yeah.
And then it goes back into verses, and the verses are very much structured the same way in terms of the melodies and things. And yeah, it is really cool how like Phil was saying, like call and response, like it's an ABAX kind of structure, right? And it's the X that sort of holds that tension until you actually just before the chorus, because the song is ours. Even though the melody doesn't really resolve the I think the stating of the title and the kind of finality of that phrase, the song is ours, it does bring it to a certain kind of resolution, and then it drops into it doesn't even drop into the bridge, it kind of takes off
Ewan takes it away for sure.
Yeah. And it's really amazing I guess you guys have worked well together for a long time, because I mean, if you wrote this lyric first and the melody, like the way he developed the piano part, like they just meld together so beautifully and so well.
Thank you very much.
Because they're both both the lyric and the piano both have this kind of mystical, kind of floaty feeling.
When I took it to Ewan, it was the lyrics and the melody. And when we recorded Songwriter, this album in studio, there were no music sheets. He was only going off the lyrics. So everything you hear is Ewan on the spot. We had a brief structure. We had a little bit of rehearsal, but every take was different. Every time it was a different journey. So we were literally listening to each other to find out when the next phrase would begin. The next part would go that way. So
that's jazz in a nutshell, isn't it? Like.
A little bit. I mean, more
so
musicians.
Than more so than I think other forms of music. You really have to be listening very deliberately to each other and feeding off each other, and things can morph and change as they evolve. Even
also, from my point of view, I can't do what he does, so I give him plenty of space to do his thing, and then when he throws it back to me, I know it's my turn, and we take it off together. But yeah.
Now, that also, because you work so well together, you can go into the studio and be that loose. I don't know if I'd recommend many people doing that, because you may wind up with
good luck.
Less than optimal.
You might waste a lot of time. Yeah. You really have to trust somebody.
You totally do. But it's really interesting. I'll say how you guys can get away with it, but like we've had. We on this podcast, we by and large get person with acoustic guitar singing their songs, and whether it's person with acoustic guitar or person with piano, even they tend to be, especially if they're storytellers. It's kind of blocky chords or blocky strums, with a little bit of rhythm and stuff, and there's not a lot of melodic interest. But meanwhile, when you're when your primary instrument and as far as Ewan is concerned, like that's his thing, is that he's the piano player, right?
Absolutely.
But the showy offness of his piano playing, which is extraordinary, is not too showy offy. Like you still absorb the story, you still absorb the melody, but meanwhile he's doing all sorts of
he's doing way more
really cool.
Yeah.
to a large extent. Yeah.
But again, it serves the song.
It totally serves the song. And the only artist I think of that can really do that is Tori Amos, like from a pop standpoint.
Yeah, no, totally true.
Right? Yeah. Because people like Billy Joel and everybody else kind of keeps their piano pretty simple, even though they're capable of doing really complex stuff, but they want the lyric and everything to shine above it.
I try to find the balance of that, because I never want to be ahead of the audience. I need something so the da 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 da, like people can remember that and people can know what's coming next in a little bit. But it's that heading the other direction that makes it interesting.
Yeah, which is interesting, because he didn't really go nuts on the piano in the verse until the very last verse. When you've already heard the verse five times already, you know how the melody goes. Okay, we can appreciate the dancey piano stuff now. It's pretty cool.
So is this generally how you work when you're writing stuff? Is you just come up with a melody and lyrics and you bring it to him, or is it come up with something more structured?
For the most part, it's I come up with the melody and the lyrics on my own, and then I take it to Ewan. And again, he calls himself a harmonizer, so he just wants to suit the song best and bring it to life. And sometimes you have chord changes and things like that. But
do you not play any instruments yourself? You don't play guitar, piano?
No, I took some piano when I was a kid, but I hated practicing, so I never really stuck with it.
So you don't really use it as a songwriting tool at all?
I have just started doing that. So on Songwriter, Ewan and I, there's a couple songs on there where the first time we sat down without an idea and we wrote the song together. There's a couple of those on there. And then this new album I'm writing, because I'm up in Cobalt now and I don't have access to Ewan all the time, I got a little keyboard and I started writing some songs just by ear and maybe what I remember from when I was like 9 years old. But again, most of my stuff is... I don't know. It just comes from my great love of the music that has come before me. And again, I took in so much at a very young age at those jazz clubs. I mean, seeing top jazz musicians. So something has stuck with me that hasn't left. And I've just kind of just stuck with that. First and foremost, melody is always, for me, if the melody is not there, then the lyrics, it's really hard to put good lyrics to them. But I always try to think of something.
You come up with melodies before lyrics, or they kind of come at the same time?
It's at the same time. Usually, I'm singing the melody with like famous Paul McCartney and Scrambled Eggs Yesterday kind of thing.
Yeah, okay.
I'm just saying gibberish. I might have 3 of the 5 words be cool, and then 2 of them are gibberish, and then I'll try to put some new words in and flesh them out. But for the most part, the songs that go on our albums or that I really love performing live, the melody and the lyrics kind of came at the same time. And there's something within me when I do that I not only does it, I think it sounds good, but it feels good to sing. If it feels good to sing, if it feels good to write, then the song is probably going in the right direction. I feel you really have to trust that inside gut thing. Again, Ewan could get into all the technicalities, and I'm a little bit more of a heart and soul, whimsical kind of songwriter. But
but that is a valid point. I mean, there's so much you can technically do right and everything, but at the end of the day,
if it feels good, you should either do it or keep exploring it, because it'll lead you to where you need to be, I feel.
So after you get together with Ewan, do lyrics and or melody morph at all, or is that kind of
So for this song, for instance, this song is ours. The night before the recording session, my darling Lola, who I moved up to Cobalt for, I was telling you earlier, she opened a tea room in Cobalt. She is like my main inspiration for writing songs. And we were about to go into the studio the next day, and this was on the list to do. And it was mostly different lyrics than what you see on your page here. And she said, you know what? The lyrics in that song that you're doing tomorrow, I don't think they're like good enough. And I was like, what are you talking about? And so... again, I took the challenge and I laid in bed awake that night. It was about 1 o'clock in the morning and she was asleep, and I had my phone in front of me and I was listening to the little demo that Ewan and I had done, and I rewrote all the lyrics that night. And then
all of them?
Mostly, yeah. Most of these lyrics did not look like that. I wrote about 70% new lyrics the night before. It was a generic song about going through the woods and like some things like that. The towers were there, but none of the birds and all the sounds and things were not a part of the song.
I really like the birds and the sounds.
Thank you. I mean, I laid it into my name, right? Alex Berry. Yeah. But
there you go.
I love can you hear the morning dove? He coos of romance and of love. That was not in the song until 1 a.m. the night before. So I don't know. Yeah, I wrote all these lyrics transformed the night before because I had that kick in the pants from my darling.
Yeah, I really like that little echo, the morning dove, and then the next verse, you got the hummingbird.
Thank you. But also, like, things can change. They don't have to be set in stone when you write them. There's opportunities to to edit and revise and try to find a better version of things. Yeah,
Absolutely.
this isn't science, right? It's
no.
It's a life.
But does it ever happen to you where you do that kind of exercise and you do almost a completely different draft and then you end up going back to your original draft?
Yeah, that's exactly what I do. Yeah. Usually I go back to what came out originally, just because.
It goes back to that trusting that instinct idea.
Yeah, I want to also explore all the options. I think when you explore other options, you find out what you're not supposed to do, which is also important to realize as a songwriter.
Yes.
Oh, this is not where this should be. But it also allows you the chance to possibly find something that you didn't think you could do or expand into, or you surprise yourself. But I think for the most part, and from my point of view, the things that come out organically in that moment, the first time I'm exploring or discovering the song, is kind of what I try to keep when writing the rest of it.
Yeah, it's a great process, and we should never be too precious with our own work. You need to sometimes look at your work and slap it around a bit and see if it's as good as it can be. And sometimes it's not, and that separates, I think, people who are just sort of doing it for fun, with nothing wrong with it, but people who are very serious about the craft. You need to really think about it and go, okay, is this line as good as it can be? Sometimes it's not, and it may take you a year, but that's okay.
Yeah, like I've been struggling with like every year on the podcast, Alex, we do a songwriting challenge for ourselves and for our listeners and stuff. And,
nice.
And the last year's challenge was to write in a mode that you're not familiar with, just to explore modes. And the modal part for me was easy. I know my music theory, I'm good, right? But the problem I had was my verse lyric. It wasn't working for me, and it wasn't until I had a meeting with another one of the guests we have on the show, Jeremy Volt, a fantastic singer-songwriter. I don't know if you know him, but he sat down with me and my lyric and told me flat out that your tone, there's a real tone shift between the verse and the chorus. The chorus is what your song is about. Your verse, you kind of drifted away from your original idea.
Yes.
Right. Because I told him where the song came from, what the original idea was from. And he said, well, you really drifted far from that in your verses, and so you need to wind back and go back to your original idea. I still gotta write a new lyric because I kind of almost started right away straying away from my original idea. So it was never there in the first place. But sometimes it does help to have that other point of view in on your song, to just give it a pass and be like, it's something that's obvious to someone else is never the same thing as obvious to you.
No, not at all. No. Most people don't notice those things because they're just taking it in from a different place.
Yeah. And as a songwriter, you're far too close to it, and it's like, like Phil was saying, like you do tend to treat the stuff as precious because I wrote it.
Yeah, but learning how to be a little less precious is a beautiful thing.
Yeah,
I think the moment you do that, you can write better songs, I feel.
Yeah. For sure. Awesome stuff. So is the whole album, you said this is the first song on the album, and that seemed like a very deliberate choice. Is there a thread to the album that takes you through a journey?
All our albums have, again, different, some albums, it's like when you listen to it, it's the same sound across the whole album, which is wonderful. I think that's how a lot of things are done, but I mean, we got samba songs, we got this kind of song, we got some blues songs, we got like downhearted sort of New Orleans style. We just kind of, I love so many different sounds, and I don't know when I'm going to get to make another album. So I just try to put as many of them into one album as possible and make them all fit together. Again, taking people on a journey. So the last album on this record is called Songwriter. And it's sort of a call to arms, to wake up and write that song, reminding people that it doesn't happen if you don't put the work in. So all our songs vary and so on and so forth. But again, I get to work with Ewan, so for me, he fills in the parts of the songwriting process that I don't have access to, and he understands my rhythms. He understands where I'm coming from. and he's the guy. His piano playing is he's one of the best in the country. And so the fact that I get to work with him that closely, it just makes my songs even more better. Our songs, I get to share it with them, which is really thrilling for me.
Yeah, and then that's really the best thing about collaborating. Whenever I try to collaborate with somebody, I'll try to collaborate with somebody who has a completely different skill set than I do.
Yeah,
right.
And
like
also,
you say, fill in those gaps.
Again, give them the space to do their thing too, right? I totally. If Ewan says this chord doesn't work, I'll be like, okay, well, let's try a whole bunch then and figure out what works best. And that's usually what we do, and then we find it.
Very cool. Yeah. So, what are your plans for the album? I guess just getting it out there, or things ready
Yeah,
to
I mean,
play,
it did release last year, so we got the review in DOWNBEAT, which was really cool. And it's heading to the JUNOs tomorrow when we record this, up for Best Vocal Jazz. We're already working on our next album together. We've written 12 other originals. Again, we do old classics at our gigs, but what we're exploring right now and trying to do differently is all original music. Because when I look up to my favorite songwriters, like I mentioned before, and artists didn't have to write their own songs. I mean, Frank Sinatra wrote a couple songs, but Sinatra and Ella and all those people, they were doing their own thing. And they were always trying to find new songwriters and new sounds, and they tried to stay current. And so I think that got lost somewhere along the way, where people just kind of, for the most part, kept doing the same thing over and over again that's been done in the past. And I'm really, really trying my best to, if I want to honor the people that I look up to, they did their own thing, so that's what I should be doing, and not abandoning what they did, but try to bring it forward a little bit. So that's why we write songs like "The Song Is Ours" or so on and so forth.
That's really good. That's really a fantastic mindset to have, I think.
Yeah, that's
thank you.
What a brilliant tune! It's quite an earworm. It kind of gets really into your head.
It does. It totally does. So it's catchy.
That's the idea. That's the idea.
It also would work great in a big band arrangement. You could really hear it.
Yeah, the songs can be moved into anything.
That's a good song.
Wow.
Thank you very much.
That would sound really cool. All right. I think I'm hearing the band, so that is all the time we have on Song Talk Radio. Special thanks to Alex Bird. And where can our listeners find out more about you?
I'm the only Alex Bird online, so alexbird.net, waiting for the .com.ca guy to get out of the way, but you can find me there, and all our stuff is available online. Yeah.
Oh,
I'm around.
Perfect, and we'll link to that from our show post on our website, songtalk.ca. And we want to hear from you, so please send your comments on Facebook or Instagram to @SongTalkRadio, or send us an email, feedback@songtalk.ca. Be sure to check out our YouTube channel for live performance videos and full episodes, and subscribe today to the Song Talk Radio podcast on your favorite podcast provider. You can find links to all the products, books, and web services we mentioned on Song Talk Radio on our resources page on the website. And please join us at our next monthly Song Talk meetup, whether you're in Toronto for our in-person meetups or anywhere in the world for our online meetups. It's free to join on meetup.com and free to attend the meetup. Bring a song and a lyric sheet and get constructive feedback from other songwriters. Stop by songtalk.ca for the link. You can follow me at neilmodi.com. You can follow Phil
at philemery.ca.
And Alex, what's your guys' favorite social media channel? Where do you guys go the most?
I do a lot of Instagram stuff, so you can just find me Alex Bird on Instagram, and we're there.
Cool. Be sure to stop by the website, songtalk.ca, to browse past shows and find out how you can be a guest. Thanks for tuning in, everyone, and keep on writing. And good luck at the JUNOs.
Yes.
Thank you.
We knew you win. Sorry, dude.
Thank you so very much.
Stuff. Yeah.
We actually get a lot of our listeners from the US, and they're probably going, What the heck is a JUNO?
Yeah, right. Yeah.
It's like a Grammy, but smaller.
Yeah, just a little bit smaller. Sweet.
Yeah.
That's so exciting. That's great. It's great stuff too.
Thank you very much. That means a lot.
You know,
We're just trying to do our thing and keep it going. And
Yeah, amazing.
It's also, I think, with jazz, because I mean, there's people who love traditional jazz and they love traditional jazz, like they love it, you know,
very much so.
There's this whole culture in Japan, and they're just, you know, they worship it like a religion.
Yeah, they still do. Yeah,
but you don't want it
Japan,
to.
honestly.
Yeah, but you don't want it. You don't want it to become like a museum. Like it needs
a
to
museum
be.
piece. I've said that before. Yeah, no, totally.
You know?
Yeah.
Because I think I have a live Billy Goodman from really early in his career, and they weren't playing jazz softly. These were a bunch of young guys who were playing rock and roll.
Yeah,
it was loud, it was banging, and they were like screaming. And you're listening to that going, well, no wonder all the parents were freaking out. You know,
absolutely.
It was not grandparent music at all. It was intense stuff.
Wow.
You know.
Yeah, it's the same thing in classical music, isn't it? Where they venerate the past, but it's hard to break through as a composer in the contemporary way.
Well, I mean, when people think of me as a jazz singer, like gigs and stuff, you know, they expect Frank Sinatra, they expect "Fly Me to the Moon," and you know, "My Way," and I'm like 33. Why would I sing "My Way"? I'm not dying anytime soon that I know. But people are like, can you do "Fly Me to the Moon"? And I say, I'm sorry, I don't know that one. And people usually look at me like, what do you mean you don't know that tune? But it's like, you know, I'm just trying to. We'll do other tunes, you know. But it's a balance. It's tricky, but I'm lucky that we've been able to do our thing and be recognized for doing our thing. It's really special.
Yeah, that's really extraordinary, because you sadly you might get more attention if you just sang the classics and were known as a great singer.
But I'd rather sing what feels right and sing something that makes me. Then I'm not doing myself or the audience any good.
Yeah. That's
so
amazing.
We'll get this out probably in about a week. And
cool.
we'll send you an email,
and then we'll get it up. Yeah.
And
share it with your peeps.
Please, absolutely.
We'd actually love to have more jazz on the show, because we get a lot of folk and rock and pop and stuff, and it'd be awesome to have some more jazz. So please let your contemporaries know about this.
Yeah. You know, and
thanks again for your time.
Yeah, absolutely, great stuff. It's going to be
all right.
Sweet.
Thanks so much, Alex. Have a great night.
Yeah, have a very nice night, and I look forward to seeing it when it's done.
All right. Take care.
We'll send you a note. All right.
Take care. Peace.